I swear, the eastern side of the industry is just looking more opposite and opposite as days go by. I'm just very much confused. So, to keep it very much a stack, we talked about Tifa not too long ago regarding, obviously the whole thing with Street Fighter because, rumors and whatnot. But now I'm going to talk about her in a different light. And in a way, I didn't think we was going to have to talk about her, but to keep it very much a stack, I suppose we are, because Square Enix, once again, which is the per usual question, what are you doing? Apparently, they said, yeah, people making some good Tifa content. They making some good adult Tifa content. Not anymore, chumps. Because now there's an article going around, which is translated in Spanish on this one, which is basically saying Square Enix has just launched a massive purge of paid dojins on Fanza and Pixa Fanbox, abruptly removing works featuring characters like Tifa that have been circulating freely in the market for years. An affected creator confirmed that 19 of their works were taken down in less than 4 days. The prevailing theory points to AI-generated content as a trigger, though hand-drawn works are falling victim too. The era of monetizing Tifa without consequences has come to an end. And this basically started up a whole debate about, Tifa being a character of integrity, a character that is well written and is important to the Final Fantasy VII story and should not be used for Rule 34 content and things of the sort like that. When you look at Tifa, you look at a good character and not Gunner material. That is how we should all have seen Tifa. That is how she has always have been. She was cool, not booby lady. That's not what she is. And to that response I say, you and the person that did this charge at Square Enix, both of y'all on crack. Because what do you possibly mean that, no, Tifa isn't meant to be goon to? Yeah, she is. She is. Literally, majority of the characters within 90s and in the early 2000s, I could even say, even just the 2000s as a whole, they are characters that is just having some level of goon to them when it comes down to it. Having some level of sex appeal to them that just, yeah, we all want to get inside Tifa. Yeah, we all would have probably found another sort of character from that time period because they were purposely designed to be that. Like, to be absolutely honest, the devs, when they were talking about Final Fantasy VII and Tifa was her most appealing feature, is literally her boost. They call her Boing-chan, I believe, in the coding of the game, or at least they just call her that just in general when it comes down to it. And even Nomura and a lot of people at that team were just like, yeah, we all like Tifa's boob out here. Yeah, that's really dang good. Hell, here's a little passage from it, and I quote, interviewer: ah, I see. What about you, Mr. Nomura? As far as character goes, is there anything you particularly like? Nomura, Narita? Narita? Aren't you a fan of Tifa's breasts? Nomura, everyone's a fan of them. I'm messing up these days. Naora? What's this now? Not I can't. These days, bro. Anyway, but her breasts are really too big. They are a bit overly ample. People would say to me, make sure you don't change how they look. Laughs. Interviewer: well, Tifa's breasts are her defining feature, right? Laughs. Everyone: What do you think that means, spam? What do you mean that? Wait, what do you think that means? What does that tell you? That yes, people, when they see Tifa, yes, great character design, great character, but also great breasts. What else are you supposed to pull from here, bro? What else is that supposed to mean when it comes down to it? When it does, even them saying that, yeah, that's basically how it is. That's how they also view Tifa in a way. Of course, she's a character. Of course, she can have really great dialogue. Of course, she can mean something personality-wise and all that sort of stuff. But there's also a heavy set of personality that's on her chest right then and there. To keep it very much a sack, this is part of the reason why people were pissed the hell off at the remake series, because she's wearing that stupid ass black top that's underneath her actual shirt, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. It genuinely doesn't. Like, let them hoes breathe. You let it breathe into the Cydia NT game for some reason. You realize people actually like that fit. Why not just let her have that shit when it comes down to the actual remake series? You know, the actual series that people very much, you know, see that is a lot of effort getting put into it for sure, and will probably even boost a little bit more sales if you just let her wear her original fit without any sort of changes or anything like that. Like, you can't make a hot woman character and then just straight up be like, yeah, we made this character, she looks super sexy, don't loot her though, or we're gonna come after you in some shape and form. Like, no, that's not how that works. That's never been how that works. You make a lewd looking character, surprise, surprise, yes, people wants to bone that character and people are going to make art of said character, right? That's just how it is. It doesn't take away from the fact that, yes, they're a really good written character. It doesn't take away from the fact that yes, they are a very good designed character, but at the end of the day, they're hot, so we must bone with content of art. That is just how it is. That has always been how it is. Hell, there's been even some like recent talk, and even like 2 years ago on a Reddit post, basically people kind of pointing out like, Tifa's design looks very similar to another character in an 18 plus visual novel looking game when it comes down to it, right? And ultimately, when you kind of put them two side by side, I can see where they kind of come from. And it wouldn't even surprise me that if that is the case, solely because in the 1980s, lots of wild shit has happened. If you've been a part of this channel for a long time, you know the wild shit that basically existed back then. But beyond that, it was just a time period of just anime going crazy, just straight up Gentai being a thing for the first time, and really showcasing exactly what all kinds of animations can really be and provide when it comes down to it. And some of that isn't lost, some of that still exists, but it's super less of it now than in what it was back then. But they're gonna try to punish people for liking a character that they themselves know is hot, and then thinking, you know, people ain't gonna design something, and then they design something of some, you know, some adult content, and then they're going to get mad at them and try to take that stuff down. It doesn't make sense. It's like if you're going to a strip club and you're throwing a whole bunch of ones, but you ain't going to pay no more than $5 at the stripper. At the end of the day, why don't you just throw the 5 at her? Just throw the 5 and be done with it, honestly. If you're not going to spend that much money, then you better just throw the 5 and just be effing done with it. Like, it makes so damn sense. Like, you think when people at Nintendo created characters like Samus and Midna, when it comes down to it, you think if people wasn't basically making art of them? Surprise, they are, and they still are, and they will always create art of them, solely because it's a lot of hotness with Samus. Hell, they had that one ad that we kept seeing recently, keep going around, that was promoting, I think, Zero Mission, with that hot Japanese lady. Like, yeah, no shit, people are gonna make content of that and then just keep bringing it up every now and again. Of course, people are gonna make some 3D content of Midna, because sure, she fine as hell. Who wouldn't want to clap that naked imp? I swear, sometimes the Japanese people, when it comes down to the creative side of the industry, are just some of the funniest people, because 1980s happened, 1990s happened, lewd stuff ahoy, but then now when we get to this day and age, oh, we can't do that, we disassociate from that. No, it's still there. It's stuff, some of the stuff that define literally your entire industry, much less define generations of people who consume said content, and now you're coming through to say, oh, you can't do that anymore. That's like how basically how people feel anytime Sega tries to get rid of Amy's overwhelming love for Sonic, much less Rouge's boobs. You just can't get away with that, because you have people in the past of your own company basically acknowledging, yes, that exists, and they're fine with that, and even pointing out certain references as to what made that particular thing, like Rouge with Latinas, like, you know, Chainsaw Man with Rize, and having Rize being crafted after that one adult star actress. You just can't not just get rid of that sort of stuff. And then people be daring and saying that, oh yeah, Fire Force is too crazy. Yet you literally have a scene in the manga of Chainsaw Man where Denji's getting jacked off and literally is finishing that jacked off session with another character. Like, are you dead ass? There's no way people can be this damn incompetent. But then this is 2026, so you know, people are super dumb at this point. Like, do you think Capcom don't know that they have their own characters that is, you know, very much lewd and very much ready to just get used in Rule 34 content? It's going to continue to happen. Like, you see in Street Fighter 6 that they have jiggle faces for some of the female characters, if not all of them when it comes down to it, and you see how they are just boastful with it when it comes down to it in terms of just how they move, how they are, and all that sort of stuff. And you thinking that no one's gonna make a nude mod of different characters, which we've seen how that went with one tournament. You're thinking people ain't gonna necessarily try to draw characters and doing some different crazy ways. Even if Capcom don't like it, guess what? At the end of the day, they don't have to like it, but they have the characters to exist, and ultimately they're gonna just have more of that content to exist. You could try to take down the mods, but guess what? Road to the Force still very much exists. People, even if you try to, you know, take them down when it comes down to their artworks or whatever, more people will draw those characters because F you, that's why. You don't have to acknowledge it, but at the end of the day, just know it's always going to be a thing. The same way how people, you know, make Sonic content, but at least Sega on that part of content, it's just like, you know what, we know you freaks exist out there, and they have fun with their audience to a little bit of extent when it comes down to it, unlike literally any other part of the gaming industry when it comes down to this sort of like situation to deal with. And hell, sometimes that lewd content is what get people to buy stuff in the first place, get people interested in certain things in the first damn place. Do you think people had, you know, people had interest obviously in things like Animal Crossing before, but like, I'll keep it a stack. I mean, a whole bunch of people bought some new copies of Animal Crossing with their games and different stuff and merchandise when it comes down to it because, oh, Zone Time made that, you know, one animation of Annika doing that whole animation and dance, and a lot of wild stuff happened there, and it was trending. It was going crazy. They hated Zone for that shit. But guess what? It made Animal Crossing to be talked about a bit more. Maybe people have bought some more merchandise and stuff. You don't have to acknowledge that part, but it does have some power to it to get people to buy certain things. Eula from Genshin, you know damn well people seeing that damn image of her getting clapped with the, you know, with the Mida Churl and all that sort of stuff in that one animation. It is basically synonymous with Eula at this damn point. And to keep very much that, if Eula were to get rerun and if there was a new animation by that exact same person, 9 times out of 10, if it were to take off well, I'm pretty sure people would also just be getting Eula for the meme, and that's just how it is on that. When you have someone like 2B to exist in the world, and then you have a whole interview with the creator wanting to actually have a smashing scene with 9S to exist, they couldn't necessarily do it because it wasn't allowed because of some reason. Guess what? You have someone like Maple Star, I believe, who went out their way to just go ahead and give us that scene, even if it's through by fan animated hands. It is what it is. And going back to someone like Tifa, you know what was the first, basically the first damn thing I seen of the character when it comes down to it? It wasn't FF7. I didn't really know too much about FF7 at all as a child when it comes down to it. I didn't really know anything about it until like years later when Kingdom Hearts first introduced me into it, and that's how it was. And even then, I still had no knowledge of Tifa to the highest extent of who she actually is. It was only until I seen this animation of Tifa giving you the nicest breast job of all time, and it was the amazing thing of that whole little animation there that made me be like, oh, Tifa fine as hell. I don't know who she is that crazily enough, but she worth it for sure. If you've seen this image, which I might make the thumbnail high key, then you understand who Tifa is, right? People been knew who she is, and people been kind of put her in that lane of, yeah, she's a great character with a nice, you know, basically amount of sex appeal when it comes down to it, that of course we're gonna make adult content of. Why would anybody say no to? And I'm a Yuffie person. I like Yuffie a lot, but I can definitely tell you that yes, Tifa is just as freaking worth it, if not obviously the most iconic one to be worth it when it comes down to it. Like, she genuinely stands alongside people like a 2B and whatever in terms of like iconic video game characters that are just really damn hot for some effing reason, right? It's why so many people, honestly want games that does cater to that sort of audience to exist. Because even if you don't like that sort of stuff, then let people have it in their own lane. That's why people want DOA to work well this time around instead of just being hoed for some reason, because people don't know how to make really know how to make DOA again. Like, this is the same way of how I felt when I first got into Genshin. It wasn't the fact that it was an open world anime game that basically, lets us kind of do an adventure game and all that sort of stuff. That wasn't the first thing that drew me in. The first thing that drew me in was Amber's big booty ass when it come down to that one PlayStation event they showcased the game at for the first time to a lot of us, and it was just like, whoa, that's some cheeks there. What's the name of this game? I gotta play that when that come out. That was immediately my first reaction when it come down to it, and it will stand to the test of time. It was a dumb reason why I played the game, but ever since then I've enjoyed its story. I've enjoyed what Genshin is. I've enjoyed it to a high extent, and while Amber is not necessarily my top favorite girl of all time, that cake will always remind me that yes, even the stupidest reasons could very much, get people to play a game when it comes down to it, right? Like, if Tifa wasn't so much of a sex appeal icon when it comes down to what she is and what she stands for, we would not have seen her at the Italian Senate meeting when it comes down to it. Remember that meeting for 4 years ago or whatever? That meeting was a thing. Tifa was getting plowed at that meeting. Hell, Xiangling was there too. People just remember Tifa more, but Xiangling was there getting clapped up too, and I know the artists that did that shit too. So at the end of the damn day, it is clear that yes, these characters that exist, when people make these fine ass characters, whether it is a Tifa, whether it is literally insert gotcha character here, whether it's someone like an Android 21, whether it's someone like a Kefla, at the end of the damn day, we pretty much know that yes, there's gonna be content of that character. Yes, it's going to exist. It doesn't matter what wall of defense you try to put between the people and that character, it's gonna get penetrated literally and end up being just something that we all get to see the greatness of in many different ways, and it doesn't matter what it actually is. You think because the person that owns the horses from Uma Musume say they don't want any NSW content to exist the character, just because you say that means that everybody's gonna follow suit? No, if people like Gold Ship and Tachyon and Rice Shower and they want to go ahead and basically make the craziest content with those characters, they're gonna go out and do it, and they have gone out and done it, and it is what it is. You can't stop people from doing what they're going to do. That's just how it is, unless they willingly decide not to do it. That's it. But then that's gonna be one person out of the other hundreds of artists that's gonna go out their way and just straight up create their own content of Gold Ship having the fattest ass for some reason, whether it's Final Fantasy just in general, whether it's Tifa with the shaboing boinga booba, whether it is literally Vanille looking fine as hell herself, whether it's Yuffie just trying to steal people's seed out of their own balls because she's a damn thief, honestly, or whether it's Lulu for some reason just casting magic on your dick. I don't necessarily know. There's just plenty of characters that is basically made with some type of appeal in mind. Hell, and actually, if you want to talk shit about me when it comes down to, why did you include Vanille in there? There was not a scene. There was literally a scene where Zaz was gonna look at this girl's skirt, but the damn chocobo got in the way, which I'd slap the hell out of that chocobo if you get in the way of me seeing some Vanille goodness. I'll be damned. You better let me see that Australian ass. But when it comes down to it, you get the point. It's fine. It should be fine if people want to, create their content of, with characters that literally have sex appeal in mind. There is no way in hell you can sit here and tell me for sure that you created a character that looks sexy, that basically is in that mature sort of way, and then get mad at people for making the content that they do. That's basically how I feel literally any single time I see a company get mad at people, especially when it comes down to gacha games, get mad at people for making adult content of their characters. Like, no shit. People are going to make content of a lot of different characters when it comes down to it. And to just get mad at them for it, just don't engage with that side and just be happy that you're getting extra profits from that side of the fan base because they think X character is hot when it comes down to it. Just because one part of her is true doesn't mean the other part of her is less valid or less true. She's an amazing character. She's actually really good, and if she gets put into a fighting game, people are going to be happy because yes, Tifa's in a fighting game. She actually can fight. She actually can throw hands. She's a great character. She actually knows what she's doing. But also at the same time, yes, we want to get horny for Tifa. So that's just going to be how it is. That'd be like if SNK decides to tone down Mai Shiranui in any shape and form, when we know in the old ass games, her ass in Japanese for some reason, at least that's what we thought at the time, she basically saying she's bouncy a lot of the damn time. Like, I'm sorry, and then you thinking we're not gonna make some art where she had sprites of her ass just out and all that sort of jazz, where even in Street Fighter 6 she's still very much looking mad good in many different ways, where they had the animation not too long ago where she's just jiggling all over the place with Chun-Li, by the way. So to keep it very much a stack, SNK knows ball and they're on point. But when it comes down to it, like, come on, dude. This whole nonsense, this is just a whole bunch of nonsense. A waste of time and the resources that Square could be putting into some actual good heat, some actual good works. And when it comes down to it, just basically effectively a whole lot of nothing. Because effectively, you take down Tifa's artwork here, here, and here, guess what? 10,000 more is going to spawn up solely because of your pasty ass and your decision making of trying to take it down in the first damn place. So, with all that being said, Tifa supremacy, I understand. But that's really all I wanted to say for this one, because again, this doesn't make sense in any shape and form when it comes down to it. Unless your country is literally like, yeah, forbidden from adult content, I understand. But even then, that's still not gonna stop people outside of your country to just make the content that they want, honestly. So it is what it is on that one. But hopefully still you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow my socials, and if you like to donate to the channel, Kofi Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's your boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.